Laura Pidcock, Shadow Employment spokesperson, and she joins me now from Consett in County Durham by Skype. Laura Pidcock, thank you for being with us. The Labour conference motion said it wanted to, quote, maintain and extend free movement. How would you extend free movement?
Well, I think that was an expression from the conference of a will of the members to move us away from decades, really, of scapegoating of immigrants. And you've seen, some of that from the Tory party today. To me, it's appealing to the fears of people rather than drawing on people's hope.
But how would you extend the existing free movement provisions?
This is, I'll just finish. This is about us saying that actually immigration is one part of the story, and actually what people are concerned about is that they are paid properly, that they have an NHS that they can access, that they can have houses that they can access for them and their children. And what will happen with that motion, essentially, it'll go forward to the clause 5 meeting, as you rightly said, is on Saturday, and then there'll be a process of negotiation. And you're quite right. We are in a period where the manifesto will be produced early next week.
I understand, but that's all process. I want to try and get to the policy here. And I'm grateful you're on. We asked the Conservatives, they haven't come on. Labour has come on. But it does mean
I'm on my wellies, by the way, Andrew, in between campaign and sessions.
Very, very well. I hope they're leak-proof. But I don't understand what extend free movement would mean. At the moment, there is effectively total free movement between the United Kingdom and the rest of the EU. How could you extend that?
Well, it's always very confusing, isn't it, when we talk about the system of immigration, because it's not true that there is total free movement between EU countries. Financial barriers are a huge a barrier to moving from one country to another. Even
really? Well, what sort of financial barrier?
Well, somebody actually being able to afford to buy the flight to move from one country to another, that's not a trifling matter.
Really? Most people do that because they think they can do better here. So even if they can't afford a flight, they'll catch a ferry.
Well, I think, the human spirit is one of which, whether you're an asylum seeker or a refugee, or somebody that wants to move abroad because they're seeing a job opportunity, the human spirit is one of which that we want to do better for ourselves and our family.
So therefore, how would you help them to extend? Are you going to pay for the plane fare?
Andrew, don't be silly.
You raised it.
No, what I raised is that there are state barriers to freedom of movement, aren't there? But there are also very practical barriers for people in their own families.
All right. Well, let me just get is it your idea? Do you want to make it even easier for EU citizens to come to the United Kingdom?
What we want is the scapegoating of immigrants to end. There will be a negotiation process at our Clause 5 meeting. Our immigration policy will be clearly defined upon the publication of the manifesto. But I need you to know this, that when I knock on doors, as I will be in an hour's time in the constituency I hope to represent, when I knock on doors, the number one issue is not immigration. Actually, people care about poverty pay.
No, I understand that, but I'm afraid it's immigration that we have you on to talk about, and your party's been talking about it too.
No, Andrew, I agree to.
We're also going to talk about gender pay too. I should reassure you, but let me stick with immigration for the moment. Len McCluskey, probably almost certainly the most influential trade union leader in the Labour Party, he says it's wrong, in my view, to have any greater free movement of labour unless you have stricter labour market regulation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, well, okay, good. I'm glad you finished off that sentence because I thought you were going to stop halfway through. The proposal...
No, we don't cheat in this programme. We give the full quotes. I can give you the context too if you want.
I mean, I don't need it. I read the article, I read the interview, and he is the General Secretary of the trade union that I am a member of. And, he is saying that there has been a process whereby employers have been able to, because of very weak legislation, undermine national agreements that drive down wages for often very low paid people. And he is saying that there needs to be a legislative approach that ends the exploitation for those exploitative bosses and for those workers. And that, rest assured, when my section of the manifesto is published, you will see that change. You know, we are moving towards a system of sectoral collective bargaining, a workers' protection agency that will have some teeth to actually look out about whether those collective agreements are being undermined. Whether you're a British worker or a migrant worker in this country, you shall not be exploited under a Labour government. All
right, let me ask you this then. If you got the stricter labour market regulation that you and Len McCluskey are talking about and would want, if you put that in place, would you then be happy to continue with free movement?
Well, if we are saying that actually the issue is one of exploitation, and if we are saying that the issue is one of collective agreements being undermined, and we are saying that, you know, when people are annoyed that actually there's two different rates being paid for shifts, or a night work shift being paid at a different rate,
so what's the answer?
Mainly migrant workers
is it yes or no?
having to work on that, or jobs only being
but all right, I understand that, but you seem to be playing for time, and I need to go on to gender pay, which I know is very important. I want to know if you get the kind of labour regulations you want, would you then be happy to continue with free movement?
What I am saying is it then no longer becomes an issue, because people are saying that exploitation and poverty pay.
So you would then be in favour of free movement?
Well, listen, humans for time immemorial have moved from one country to another. Am I going to, on your programme, say that immigrants are the problem? No, I'm not.
I'm not asking if immigrants are the problem. I'm asking you that if you get the kind of labour laws you want, would you then be in favour of continued free movement? I'm not looking for time immemorial. I'm just looking for an answer now.
Well, when we form a Labour government and I get to implement the Workers' Protection Agency,
you've said all that.
Then the issue of exploitation will come to an end, and that is what people care about.
And then will you be in favour of free movement? It's an easy question. Is it yes or no?
You will see what our proposal says in our manifesto.
All right. Let me move. Look, I know when I'm not getting anywhere, so let's move on to gender pay. And now you're not promising to close the gender